And we are live. Hello, my friends. My name is Evelyn Joy, and welcome back to our channel. Today we have Sirena here from Sincerely Sirena. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me this morning.
Yeah, I'm so excited to interview you. So before we get started, I want to shout out you have a YouTube channel. And go ahead and tell us your YouTube channel, your Instagram, Pinterest, website.
All of the stuff. Okay, so my YouTube channel is Sincerely Sirena. If you YouTube that, I want to say Google, but it is Google. But if you search Sincerely Sirena, that's yeah. And then on Instagram, I'm Sincerely Sirena, but there's an underscore between Sincerely and Sirena. And I have a Pinterest page. So that is also Sincerely Sirena. And then my website is www.sincerelysirena.com.
Okay.
All of the Sincerely Sirenas.
Awesome. As I've been interviewing people, some of you guys have websites, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should learn how to do that stuff.
It's a task. I mean, it's a task. I had a website. I started a blog, like a mommy blog, when my son was diagnosed with autism, and when we were transitioning out of the military. My husband is medically retired. He was wounded, and so to cope with all of the feelings, I started a mommy blog. 5 years ago, and then I stopped, and then I was like, oh, I could just turn this into a helping website for online teachers. So that's what I did. And honestly, if I didn't already have it up and running, I don't know if I would have invested in the website. But yeah,
Amy Lou said, great branding. See how.
Thanks.
We were talking about StreamYard before this. I like StreamYard because it's free and I can click on somebody's comment and make it big or bigger. It's cool. All right, very cool. SincerelySirena.com. That is so awesome. Coming soon, me figuring out how to make a website. Okay.
I mean, there's cheap options there, but if you ever need help, because I'm on WordPress. And the reason why I chose WordPress back in the day is because the visibility, the Google capabilities. So it works really well with Google. If you build yourself up and you build enough keywords within your site, you'll be able to be pulled up. So if anybody needs help with that, I am happy to share my tips and tricks, because I think I broke my website in July trying to figure it out. But so yeah, I'll help you not break your website.
You help people not break their website. Yay! Or break their website. Who knows how to fix it. Very cool. Awesome. All right. So I want to say hi to the people in the chat box. We have Kelly and Amy Lou and Luann are with us. Welcome.
Yeah.
No reason to feel nervous. We've just got a handful of friends.
And then the whole internet afterwards, but that's okay.
Yeah. I wish the whole internet watched my videos.
Eventually, one day, the whole internet will watch you. Will enjoy.
Okay, so Sirena. Sirena, you're an Outschool teacher, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, before you ever taught online, what did you do?
Oh, goodness. I was a stay-at-home mom to two kids before I started online. So right after college, my husband decided to join the military. I was like, okay, whatever. I'll go be a military wife. And being a military wife is hard because you are mobile a lot. And so I'd never really established a career. I just kind of accepted that I was going to be a stay-at-home wife and stay-at-home mom, and everything's going to be cool, which is pretty cool in the military world, because 90% of the military spouses are stay-at-home moms, and that's cool. We all had a community. And then he was medically retired, like I said. And then we came back home to St. Louis, Missouri, and everybody around me had careers. I'm like, dang, don't I feel like a slob? So I was like, okay, well, my kids are still young. It's fine. I don't have to worry about that. But then my son, transitioned to kindergarten, and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? So I started out, because I'm a very crafty person. So I started out having a booth in a couple of antique malls, or those boutique-y shops that you would go shop. So I did that for about a year, and that just was exhausting. And I was like, I can't do this. My house is a mess. my life is a mess. My kids are a mess. So I quit that. And just about that same time, I saw a Facebook ad for a VIP kid. And so I was like, I could do that.
Yeah,
I mean, super early, like I could do that. So that's what happened. I clicked on a Facebook ad for a VIP kid. And then me that loves to sleep in, that loves to stay up at night, transitioned to waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning. And then now here I am teaching on Outschool, which I would never, like 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. Like if I would have told you I was like on like teaching online, what is teaching online? Like you can't do that. So so much has changed in the last 5 or so years.
That's so awesome. So how long ago was it that you started on VIP Kids?
So I came up on my year anniversary. So not that long ago. A year in August is when I started.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. So when did you start Outschool?
So I started Outschool. So my relationship with Outschool started in December of 2019, but I didn't start teaching until May of 2020 when like the bubble came. I kind of joined late on the bubble of
the bubble.
I seriously started in May 2020.
Is the bubble like when everybody started joining?
And everyone was like, "What? What's Outschool? I could do what?" Yeah, that's when all my VIP kids, teacher friends, kind of came to me. Yeah.
So in December, was that when you applied or when your kids started taking classes? Or
kids, I found out about Outschool through one of their cleverly targeted Facebook ads. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. My family is a huge Harry Potter fan, and I guess the Outschool fairies knew that I was searching Harry Potter on my computer, so they targeted me. So I enrolled my daughter in a Harry Potter Christmas class.
That is so ironic because they don't allow Harry Potter classes anymore.
Right. Well, yeah, I got an update yesterday that they're still in negotiations with
cool.
Warner Brothers. Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh, wow. That's so cool. Yeah. I joined, I was hired for Outschool 6 months before I ever taught because I was like, oh, let me check out what this is. And then I wasn't like serious about it and I wasn't sure how to really do it. So I signed my kids up for a dozen or so classes before I ever opened my own class. And I had to like hear from other friends what it was.
Like, yeah, I can do this. I could do this. Totally. Yeah.
So that's actually why I started this series, is because I talk to teachers who say, I'd like to do Outschool, but what would I teach? You know, write my own curriculum. I don't know about that. You know, I'm not sure. So I kind of made this so that I'm a visual and auditory person, so people can see and hear like that there are teachers just like them that are doing it, and it's possible, and you can make money doing this. You know.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, what all classes have you taught? Like, what have you chosen to teach? What time?
So I signed on to Outschool thinking, oh, I'll just do super easy preschool classes because I have preschool experience. I was like, that's easy, you know, whatever, I'll do it. So I did probably 2 weeks of a read-along activity situation, and I was like, man, these preschool kids take a lot. They take a lot of effort. And I was already, I teach preschool kids and VIP kids. So I was like, I can't do this. So I switched my gears and I'm trying to think, what did I do after that? Oh, so that's when I got the emails that the parent request things. Yeah. And then I saw on the email, and I'm a history person. I love finding humanizing stories about the things of the past or like how things came about. And so one of the parent requests, and this was in May, mind you. So one of the parent requests was Memorial Day, the history of Memorial Day. I'm like, I could totally do that. I'm a military family. I know everything about Memorial Day. So I developed that one-time class, and I was like, I love telling people about our country, and teaching these kids. And so my age range went from the 4 to 6 year olds to the 8 to 6 8 to 16-year-old range. And so I just kind of enjoy having that back and forth conversations and thoughtful narratives with the older kids. So after Memorial Day, I developed my history of the 4th of July, which is awesome. And then this summer, I did a baking class. I did a cookie class series because I'm a baker. And I'm kind of like all over the place. And then I'm also a Harry Potter fan. And so that's when I developed my Harry Potter novel studies. And that's that is pulled right now. But I did that this summer, which was fantastic. It was a 10-week series. And then Hamilton came about and exploded and rocked my world because 18th century is totally my jam. Like I know everything about, historical costuming of the 18th century, 18th century America, 18th century Europe. Like that's my thing. So I was like, I'm going to do a character class. And so that is actually what I'm doing right now. I have two classes right now. And I wish I could make more, but I just, I had to kind of do that work family balance. So right now I am teaching 2 Hamilton classes. The one is the Hamilton Who Were They? So each week, and this is an ongoing class, each week we take 1 or 2 characters and study the real life of that historical person.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so then my second class is just the women of Hamilton. So we take Eliza, Angelica, Peggy, Alexander's mom, and plus we talk about Mariah Reynolds. And so that is a 2-week course.
That is cool.
Yeah. So right now I'm doing an ongoing and then a multi-day. So one time right now.
Awesome. Will you tell me? Okay, so I've seen one song from Hamilton, and I know it's about Alexander Hamilton. Can you tell us who Alexander Hamilton?
Alexander Hamilton. Yeah, so Alexander Hamilton, he's probably famously known, especially our generation. If you remember that commercial back in like the 90s, Who Shot Alexander Hamilton? And the guy had like crackers, and he was saying, Aaron Burr. No? Okay. So Alexander Hamilton, he is the $10 founding father. He's on our $10 bill. So he was a founding father. He was a revolutionary hero. He was the person that kind of came up with the financial system of America. He pulled America kind of out. Well, I wouldn't say out of debt. He created the national debt, basically. And like he is the reason why New York is such a metropolis today, because he put the first national bank in New York City. So he is like that. And so not only did he create the financial system, but he was also pretty much but our government. So the reason why our government is a strong federal government is because of him and his Federalist Papers.
Wow.
So yeah,
he was a finance guy.
He was a finance guy. He was a philosopher. He was all about breaking free from America. Well, kind of breaking free from America, from Europe. Well, yeah, definitely breaking free. But his story is he was a bastard son of an adulteress from the West Indies. So he was born and raised in the Caribbean, and then a hurricane came and he wrote about it like very eloquently. And this minister guy like saw it and he's like, dude, you are super smart. You need to get out of the ghetto of West Indies and go to America to get schooled. So they took a collection of him, this poor little orphan guy, and they sent him to America, and then he went to school and then joined the revolution.
Wow.
Worked his way up to be a right-hand man of George Washington. And then, the rest is literally history. He famously was shot in a duel by the vice president at the time, Aaron Burr, and he died when he was like 47 years old.
Wow. Very good. It's so cool to hear I think there's so much of history that, like, we have gaps in knowledge, like, because I'm sitting here trying to figure out with my brain, trying to remember. So how do we get from the Pilgrims to George Washington, right? And how
yeah. There's huge gaps, especially in our generation. Like George Washington, all we know about George Washington is that he had wooden teeth and he chopped down a cherry tree, which were like both false. And so there's so much things that, and that's what I love about teaching history to the age range that I have, because I'm able to create a more relatable narrative besides a whole bunch of old dead white guys in powdered wigs.
Right. So, how did our country get here?
Yeah. And those guys had lives, and they had some interesting lives.
Very
cool. And the women behind them. Like, I love talking about the women, because we don't really know a whole lot about our founding mothers.
Yeah.
And
usually strong leaders have a good, strong wife behind them, right?
Heck yeah.
I think the encouragement and support of a good wife helps make a leader the man he is,
Like the woman is a better leader than her spouse.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, on Amy Lou commented Disney Plus. Yeah, you can watch Hamilton if you have Disney Plus. Yes.
Disney Plus. There are curse words in it, so if you have young kids around, if that is a problem, I would I don't know, screen it. I don't know.
Or put headphones in.
Headphones, earmuffs. But it's a very cool, it's a rap, hip hop and rap based musical. So that's why I think a lot of young people are really getting into it, because Lin-Manuel Miranda did a fantastic job making the story relatable.
Maybe we need to turn more of history into rap battles.
I mean, yeah, I think so. I want to try,
to help people understand, right?
Yeah.
I think in our country right now we're seeing, well, I guess I don't want to get political, but yeah, we're seeing that a lot of young people don't understand how political systems work. But yeah,
I barely know.
It's important to learn.
I could tell you all about 18th century, but if I can't even explain to you, like, really, but I kind of know the historical basis, but not how they really work today.
Yeah, lately I've been studying about like Venezuela and Colombia. Well, sorry, Cuba, Venezuela and Cuba, like countries that went from good to not good, and how downfalls of countries, and seeing how that happens, sort of, and what leads up to that.
Yeah,
so that's been my fascination lately. Very cool, very cool. Let me read what you guys are saying. Yeah, Cindy Bennett worked at a Christian school, and she said at Christian schools they tend to teach more history. That's very cool. I did not. It's funny how when you're in high school, you don't always take interest in things that later on it's like, why didn't I pay attention about government, about geography, about history? Like, it's more interesting when you're an adult than when you're a kid.
I think it's the way it's presented. Like when I was in high school, like my history teacher, like his thing was, let's watch a movie, and that's it. So I think it's how it's presented. And I think we need educators out there that can take it and break it down and make it interesting for the young learners to get into. And that's what I love about Outschool. Like there's Outschool teachers out there that are able to do that. You're not stuck with whoever your kid's history teacher is in public school.
Yeah. Well, you have someone who's passionate about it, who actually cares. Mm-hmm. And even small groups is better than 30 students to one teacher, because when you're in a class with 30 students, you feel like, okay, well, I can go to sleep in the back corner and nobody's going to notice.
Right. Well, those students that enroll in your Outschool class, unless their parent is making them take it, they're there because they want to be there.
Yeah.
So that's totally different than 30 kids that have to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true. And it's also not like this is one of my many classes in a day. It's like, this is my Outschool class. This is going to be cool,
Yeah.
Very cool. That's awesome. So, What time of day do you teach on Outschool?
Yeah, so my Hamilton class. So think about that. This is a history class. Although it's a pop culture history class, it's a history class for upper elementary, early middle school. So, and I'm in Central Time. So I do Monday through Thursday, and I do 11, 1 o'clock, and 7 p.m. And all of my classes are full.
11, 1 o'clock, and 7 p.m. And you said you're Central?
I am Central, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to make a banner. Okay, so you do 11 a.m., 1 o'clock p.m., and 7 o'clock p.m. Okay, very good. My Deborah, I hear you at the door, and I will help you with that later. But if you want to watch YouTube, if your ABC mouse isn't working, that's okay.
Working mom problem.
I'm letting them have the iPad, and my husband and 2 boys are sleeping, and my girls are up with the iPad, and they want me to come push buttons on the iPad. I'm like, no, do something else then. It didn't work. Deborah, Esther knows how to do it. Why don't you ask her, honey? Give me 1/2 a second there.
Yeah.
1 millisecond.
1 second. Let me do.
Do you have the iPad here? How can I help you? Oh, you want me to put it on Esther? Well, then
The Mothers Behind American Heroes, Cindy. I haven't heard of that. Cindy, who's the author of Mothers Behind American Heroes?
Then now you're on Esther, so now you can play. Okay, and go downstairs, please. Thank you. You want water? No, honey, you're not going to be in here right now, baby. You may go back out. You may go back out. My love, go out. You can take that with you. You can play with that. Oh, okay. All right, sorry about that.
It's okay.
We're like, okay, let me take advantage of the fact that mom opened the door, and guess what? We're coming in the room now. I'm like, no, y'all can play iPad out there.
Yeah. So Cindy, so it's not a book. So you've read some of the mothers. So there is a book called America's Founding Mothers that talks about a lot of the lesser known people. George Washington's mother, John Adams's mother. So they're like literal mothers. They were very strong women. Yeah. George Washington's mother is interesting. George Washington actually hated his mother.
Really?
Yeah, because she
well, she's strict.
She pestered him a lot for money.
Oh.
Yeah.
And George, well, I know you were mentioning things people know about George Washington. I know he was a general before he was president, right?
Yeah, and he was actually a colonel for the British before we even revolted.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much gaps in my knowledge because I know about the Tea Party, but I don't know. For example,
Adams and
England's over here, America's over here. Where did they have the battle? I don't even know.
In America.
Okay, that would make sense.
Yeah, in America.
We weren't battling in England. I know that. But.
Right, they brought guns and ships over here.
Wow. I mean, can you imagine coming on a ship just to go to war? Well, I guess.
I mean, so if you think about the 18th century, like if you were like a farmer and like you had like eight kids and you had to feed all those 8 kids. So like joining the army, like once you join the army, you were going to be hopefully fed and all of that. So that was like the thing to do. And that was like the thing that some of the kids like joined to get adventure and to get away from their farm. Yeah. And then there are some that were made to join the army.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like a 2 month. It was like a 2-month trip. across the Atlantic back in the day.
That's the risk of me sounding really dumb.
Not dumb.
Pilgrims came over from England. When did England decide that they had ownership of America?
When they did the exploration. So when they explore, so the explorers came over before the Pilgrims did. So the explorers, so there were Spanish explorers, Christopher Columbus. So they came over and they basically waged war on the native inhabitants and said, peace out, you guys need to go. This is Spain's area, this is France's area, this is England's area. And so those three, because those were the three large powerhouses of the world, the Indians or the Native Americans did not stand a chance against their modern armies. So England, France, and Spain kind of wherever they landed, they basically staked claim in those lands. And so then after they staked claims, they sent first they sent like men to try to discover the riches of the New World. And they were like, oh, there's not a whole lot here, so we better make something of this land. And then that's when they sent over populations of people. And then other people kind of left because of religious reasons, like the Pilgrims.
Interesting. They left England because of the
that's
when the Pilgrims came.
So some of them did, yeah.
Okay. So I sound so dumb saying this. I think I already knew this. Christopher Columbus was how many years before the Pilgrims?
Gosh. I think it was Christopher Columbus in the 15. This is where my lack of knowledge in the earlier days, because I spent the 1500s learning about like the Tudors in England. So Christopher Columbus would have been
the ocean blue and
so
1892. I don't remember.
It was 14. It was at 1492. So the Columbus came in 1492, and then the Pilgrims came probably in the mid 1500s. And then the colonization was like 100. 1492. Wow. Some I paid attention. 1492. And Christopher Columbus was a bad dude. I'm just gonna put that out there in the world. We should not celebrate him at all.
Well, it's interesting because when I went to Uruguay, South America, not knowing any of their history, I went to some of their like museums of their history of their museums, and they were like really proud that they killed all of the natives. I was like, I wouldn't brag about that. That's not good.
No, we raged genocide on the native population. I mean, but like that's what we celebrate America. We basically did the same thing.
But when you grow up celebrating something, it's normal. But when you visit another country and you see that we celebrate it, it's like, what's wrong with you people? You know what I mean?
Did they put it in that type of context? Like we conquered the Native American or the Native inhabitants?
Like they had big paintings of their, bloody, like they had a big painting of like a ship of the people coming, and then like the natives on the shore, and they had more paintings that were basically like, we win.
Yeah, racism. Racism is a long dealt thing, and superiority. Yeah. Cindy said, yeah, Pilgrim 1600s. Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah. Like if it's before the 1700s, I can kind of guess at what happened. But yeah.
And also, like, we tend to, when you just know some of American history and you don't know world history, you don't realize that slavery wasn't a thing just in America, but slavery happened like all of South America. Like I was wondering at one point, why is the Dominican Republic and Haiti like two halves of the same island, right? But there was like a big like rebel of all of the
have you heard about the Haitian?
They're having an island.
Yeah, dude, like the Haitians, they went like the slaves, they they rebelled, and they rebelled hard, and they basically burned down the island and all of the slave owners.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's crazy because you tend, not you, but we tend to just hear about slavery in America, and we only hear like a small fraction of it. Like I'm still finding out about what it was like. Like I know about like how we ended slavery, yay! But I don't know about
the slavery, even though after the Civil War, even though the Civil War basically ended slavery, we still had slaves up until like the early 1900s. Even after civil rights, there were still enslaved people like 50, 60 to 70 years ago in America.
And then it's mind-blowing to me to see too that I buy clothes at Walmart. Okay. And so my low-cost clothes that say made in China on them are coming from possibly slave labor in China. So it's like all my life's a lie because I was told we ended slavery and now everybody's free and we're all happy, but we buy clothes.
Yeah.
That might be funding slave labor. You know what I mean? Like my mind's like, but how do I don't know how do you
stop that? How do you stop that?
Exactly. That's lately I've been kind of learning more about history and feeling really dumb for not knowing before that I just buy stuff that says made in China. Everything says made in China. I just keep buying it. And I'm like, wow, maybe I don't want to buy things made in China. Really cheap. You know? It's interesting.
It's hard to escape, especially in our modern lives where we want everything to be easy and fast. It's super hard. It's hard to escape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's It's mind-blowing once you go down some of the rabbit holes of how evil our world is and how there are people really who really are evil. You know, that choose to do professions that enslave others.
Yeah.
Stuff. Anyway, didn't expect to go on this tangent, but I love it.
Like online teaching to like world topics, but I love it. I'm all for it.
I mean, the thing is, my channel is a happy channel, but also honest. Like, and there are, you know, bad things that go on in the world, and there are some rabbit holes, but also do you want to not know anything about it, you know? Anyway, it's interesting, but
being an adult.
Yes, my kids are so like happy, and I'm like, I don't even want to tell you. You don't even want to know. The world is an evil place. Just be a happy child.
No, I love telling my 10-year-old like little snippets of history, like, oh, by the way, did you know Thomas Jefferson, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, what? Why don't they tell us that at school? I'm like, probably because your teacher doesn't want to know, or she doesn't want to like go down the rabbit hole with you guys.
Of which topic?
Oh, just any like interesting fact of any of the founding fathers.
When I was in middle school, I became aware of like the Holocaust and all of that because they teach a little bit of it.
We start that unit in middle school. Yeah.
But more than that, I babysat and saved up money to go on the school trip to Washington, D.C. and we went to the Holocaust Museum. So that's when I really became knowledgeable about that. But it's crazy because we have a museum about the Holocaust, so we don't mind, you know, having a museum about the faults another country did. Like, oh, we were the good guys in that scenario, so let's make a museum about it. But there were scenarios that we were not the good guys in, and they don't necessarily have museums.
Right. Well, think about the plantations of America. Those old plantations that are in the South right now that people love to go see.
Have their weddings at.
They're so beautiful, and people have their weddings. But think about what happened in the South at those plantations.
How much blood was spilled there?
Right. So, like, literally, it's like visiting Auschwitz and having your wedding at Auschwitz. Like, and I think that's the historical lens that we see on our own country and our own history that people don't realize that You are like having your wedding at a place similar to what Auschwitz was.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched a whole video where a lady, it was an interview like this, two people talking, and one of them was an African American, another one was white, and she was talking about how she had her wedding at a plantation.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time of the wedding, she completely didn't even think about the fact that it was called. She was just thinking, "Oh, we're having a farmland wedding."
I'm not gonna lie; those plantations are pretty, and I enjoy stuff like that. Yeah. Was the interviewer Cheney? Not your mama's history? Do you remember?
Yes.
Was, I follow her. I love her. Actually, she's the one that kind of
suggested to me on YouTube. Yeah, I subscribed, but that's the only video I've seen from her so far. But yeah. It's interesting, to think about. And I even have a video on my channel where I talk about, new things that I'm discovering about Black history in our country and stuff, right? There are some key words that I'm a little bit not sure if I'll get censored on YouTube for saying, but I'm seeing them in the chat box and I'm in agreement with what you guys are saying. I'm just not sure if I can talk about, I'm just going to say it. We'll see if I get censored, okay? I don't know if I can talk about child sex trafficking, but that's been something I've been knee deep in.
That's an evil I don't want to get into because I have anxiety and I will have to die on anxiety medicine. I can't and I feel awful for saying that, but I have to be naive on that because that would literally, as a mother, it breaks my heart looking at it. It's tough.
I grew up thinking that the world is mostly good. And as an adult, I'm realizing there's a lot of evil in the world,
But there's also a lot of good, though. And that's the thing. There is a lot of good. There are a lot of good people that are trying to eradicate the evil. Evil is always going to exist there, but there are still good people. And I like to think that,
Oh, very good. Yes. I'm agreeing with what you guys are saying in the chat box, but yeah, this has been such a good interview. My friends, let me see, my friends who are in the chat box, do you have any questions about Outschool for Sirena? Getting back on topic. I guess technically we stayed on topic because you're teaching history, right?
Yeah, I think that's the rabbit hole we went down. I started it. I'm sorry.
Oh, and I need to write down the book America's Founding Mothers. Are you the one that suggested that book, or was that?
Yeah, it's America's Founding Mothers, and there's actually there's a kids book on it. So if you want to get the kids book for your kids, it does a really good job. But then there's the big chunky book, American.
I think if it comes on Kindle.
I think it does because it's on Amazon. So I think a lot of the books on Amazon are Kindle-fied. I think it does come on. Is Kindle Amazon or is that Nook? I don't know. I know that
the Kindle app on my iPad.
Yeah. But I'm sure you can find it at your library if you're able to go to your library.
Yeah. Okay. I might just buy the book.
It's a good book. I bought it, even though my daughter is too old for it. I bought it still.
Very good. So your daughter
she's 10.
10.
Yeah.
And your
son at 6.
Son is 6. Very cool. Yeah. Oh, Kindle is Amazon. Nook is Barnes and Noble. That's why we're present.
Then it should be a Kindle version of it then on Amazon.
Very cool. Yeah. So scale of 1 to 10, how ignorant did I sound about history in this video?
I think you sound like most Americans, honestly. I mean, if you're not really, once we graduate high school, and if you're not studying history in college or afterwards, you're not good. I mean, you're going to forget. Try to talk to me about algebra. Try to talk to me about civics. It's just not interesting. So if you don't, study it as an adult, you'll either forget.
And Chinese history, for example, our students know so much about Chinese history, and we start to read the lessons. It's I don't even know how to say Wu Zetian correctly.
I'm gonna it all those dynasties. I don't know I don't know.
I don't know which dynasties were.
I don't know the timelines. Like, and it's sad. It's bad. I probably should. I'm half Asian, so I probably should spend some time in reading up on my own heritage. And I, like, as an adult, like, I haven't, since I guess I'm an American, I haven't ever really felt connected to that heritage yet. So I probably should spend some time to try to figure out, you know, Asian history.
Yeah.
It's much, much older than European and American.
Right. And stuff like, where did the Europeans come from? I don't know.
The Vikings and Russia.
The Vikings.
Yeah.
Very cool. Wow. Great shows on PBS on China. You can watch some on demand on their app. Oh, very good. On the PBS app?
Probably, if you have local PBS.
PBS, but not PBS Kids, probably, right?
Right. I watched, what was that documentary about? One child in China. I forgot what documentary. I watched that back in February, and that's a good one.
I hear Cindy Bennett watched that one. I hear it's really sad.
It is sad, and I did cry, but it's a good it's good to know where our mothers and fathers, like our parents' mothers and fathers, their generation, because they're the generation that were in that. They were kids during that time.
Oh, of mothers and fathers of our students.
Yeah, and then the grandparents of our students were the parents of that situation. So you can kind of see where, if you get like a very stern mother or stern grandmother, you can kind of see where they're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's why we have our friends in the chat box. Amy Lou said it's on Amazon and it's called One Child.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, it's about the one child policy. Marianne said 80% of U.S. families did not buy or read a book last year in 2019.
Yeah, if you're not a reader.
I maybe didn't read any adult books besides the Bible.
Well, I think when you have little ones, you don't
read a lot of kids' books.
You don't. Yeah.
One Child Nation was really, really hard. Not as bad as it could have been. Well, I watched some videos from a guy he's American and his wife is Chinese, and they had their baby in China in a Chinese hospital. It was interesting hearing his perspective about how they don't have like hand soap in the Chinese hospital, and how the abortions are done like right next to where the births are done, and it's just really, it was traumatic for him. So very different, and they paid to have a nicer. They paid extra to have a nicer room, and it still was not a sanitary situation for having a baby compared to, like, you know, they had their second child in America, and it was completely different, right? So it's interesting, all the things we take for granted in America. So much. Like when people talk about privilege, I'm like, we all have American privilege for sure, because so many other countries, like my kids have never known like real hunger. Like we'll say we're hungry, but it's not real hunger. They're like deep.
Right. Well, and there's poor American kids that know hunger.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you think you're poor, like you think you grew up with no money until you start volunteering for the programs at school that actually help the really poor kids. Yeah. That you're sending snacks in their book bag so they can have something to eat overnight.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. Yeah, my husband's from Ecuador, and I tried saying to him, I grew up poor, and he laughed in my face.
Yeah, like no girl.
Poor. I mean, we got free lunches at school and we had food stamps. But in his country, growing up poor means like begging on the streets for money.
He had no shoes.
Like different kind of poor. So like he, even though he was lower income than me, he wouldn't consider himself poor. He was in a poor neighborhood, but he got to go to Christian private school, so he was privileged compared to other kids in his country. So it's interesting the perspective of what is poor, right?
Right. Yeah. Until you go visit a poorer country, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I spent 2 months in Uruguay, South America. Visiting another country and then coming back to America is also a culture shock. If you're there for a while, when you come back to America, you realize like how much food we throw away and just how wasteful people are. It's interesting. But I think everyone should visit like a third world country and then appreciate what you have. But anyway, culture is really interesting to study and history.
And that's why I've gotten into history, because of different cultures. Yeah.
I would love to speak more languages. I speak 2 languages, English and Spanish, but I would love to like learn Chinese and Italian and French.
Girl, my mother is Filipino, and my biggest life regret is her not taking the time to teach us girls, Tagalog. Like, that would have been easy for a second language. But I kind of understand what my mom went through when she came over here. So I kind of understand she didn't have time to teach us a second language, but like we already had one that was good enough. But I totally wish that I think if I learned Tagalog, I probably would be more connected with my Filipino Asian roots than I am with my European, because I sure know a lot more about the Europeans than the Filipinos.
Literally what you're saying is a conversation I just had the other day, because I'm working to have my kids be bilingual, because we're a bilingual home, but my husband and we use both languages. So with my mother-in-law, we just speak Spanish on Saturdays, but my kids, they listen to Spanish and they understand, but they respond in English. But we're working on starting to teach them to be confident to speak a little bit in Spanish more. So we want to work on them becoming bilingual. But yeah.
Yeah, totally. And that's awesome, because they will grow up having an appreciation for their other culture, even though they're living in America. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that way, if we go to Ecuador either to visit or to live, like they can at least speak. So yeah. What did Mindy say? Mindy said, I provided snacks for my public school kids all the time. My motto, if you're hungry, you can't have the brain energy to learn. So I give them a snack before we started to read. Oh, very good.
So Mindy, you're probably a public school teacher then, right? So you probably saw some of those poor kids that didn't have dinner to go to.
Yeah. That's what's been hard about 2020. I mean, distance learning and stuff, it's a lot of those kids rely on free lunch at school.
Yeah. So our public school, they're still providing free lunch and extra meals to the kids that are at home that qualify for them. Yeah. I get an email every Monday. I'm like, I don't need your food, but
I'm glad you're giving it.
I'm glad that you're giving it to the kids that need it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's very good. Yeah. Our area too. They tell me about it. And I'm like, that's awesome. We're good on food, so I'm going to leave that for something that needs it more, know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Yeah. I'm glad they have that. It's 2020, man. It's been
a dumpster fire.
Are your kids back at school in person?
Kind of. So my kids are on a hybrid. So they're AA and BB, and then Wednesdays are all virtual. My son is special education. He is on the autism spectrum. So he is actually going 4 days, half days. So on Thursdays and Fridays, I pick him up at 11:30. So he gets his services, because he went like 9 months without services.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So is that, do you see a difference now that he is getting services? Do you see that that's helping? Or maybe it takes more time.
It's so, I don't know. Like it's hard. I don't honestly, like the last 9 months was a blur, like a big blur. So I have a special education background. So I knew like when we were at home, I kind of still worked with them and I knew the ways to get to him. I feel like it's good to have the professionals there to take a baseline at where he is, if he lost skills or whatnot. He started privatized therapy like in August. And I've kind of seen some more play-based stuff coming out of him, which is awesome. His private therapies are awesome. School-wise, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't really do a whole lot of school-based education, like math and reading and writing. And so getting back into that is a little more of a struggle, but he's picking up on it, so that's good.
Very good. All right. Kelly said ours is 2, as in public school is. I know your kids are doing some online, Kelly. Okay, but yeah. Mindy said, yes, I was a public school teacher for 22 years. Many get free breakfast and lunch at school and went home with no food for the rest of the day. Yeah. I worked at an elementary school where they sent them for the weekend. They sent them like a bag full of like canned goods and crackers and snacky things. And
I them eat something.
Some of the kids were embarrassed too that they had to have that. Bring that back, like the other kids saw them getting that back.
Oh, they didn't just like snuck it in their book bag. So at our school,
they had to carry it separate.
Oh, that is embarrassing and traumatizing for a kid. The teachers or the staff members, when the kids are out of the room, they'll go and put it in their backpacks without.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah,
was doing it.
Yeah, and so in the middle school and high schoolers, they would either open up their lockers and stick it in there, or they would, after school, I guess, go to the room and pick it up and put it in their book bag and leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. VIP Kid was such a blessing. When I started working for VIP Kid almost 3 years ago, because we were behind on our mortgage, and I remember like feeling that like I remember going to a grocery store and being like, I wish I could buy more than this, but we're on a budget, and now it's like, it's such a nice feeling to have money for groceries, like when you haven't had that before.
Yeah, it's totally.
So working online's been a huge, huge blessing.
Yeah. I mean, it has for me as well, on a different side, but
yeah. It's freeing to be able to contribute as a stay-at-home mom as well, to take a little bit.
Yeah. And especially if you're a stay-at-home mom for a long time and you don't have the ability to work on your career, like I didn't. I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. And then when you try to go back, you have no relatable skills, and finding something like VIP Kid, or, Outschool, I'm a teacher. Like,
yeah,
get that away from me. I'm a teacher. Although I don't have a certification. So yeah.
Being a mom comes with a lot of skills. It's just
right. Apply those skills into like somebody's going to pay me to be a mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I think I'm really thankful that we have Outschool too, because if anything were to happen with VIP Kid, we have a backup.
Girl, I'm on the struggle bus with VIP Kid, and I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. Like it was great until the school started, and then I personally had to cut back, and I made a video about this on my channel, but I personally cut back because my kids needed me. But then I don't know if I'm on the opposite of people. Like my Outschool classes are doing amazing, and I'm getting so much from it, and I'm getting paid a whole lot more. Right now I'm making $20 a morning with VIP Kid. I was like, I don't know if this is worth me getting up. And I told myself that I was going to do all the things to try to get booked again, but I honestly haven't. So I don't know what I'm going to do with VIP Kid, but it's still there.
Yeah. I cut back because I was in August I was working mornings and evenings with VIP Kid. It was just too much.
Yeah, that's too much.
So I cut the evenings, but like the paycheck's half what it was. So it's kind of like, huh?
Girl, my paycheck is probably like 20% of what it was in July. Yeah.
But, you know, at least we have a job, right?
Yeah, at least, I mean, and if I put effort in it, like, I'm complaining, but if I put effort in it, it would grow. Like, things are going to grow where you put your time and energy.
That's where I'm at with Outschool. I'm just beginning to put effort, and I'm just beginning to like make money and see that could be really good. I'm focusing on Spanish, so I'm teaching Spanish to little kids and Spanish to big kids. Mm-hmm. And I'm also starting on, have you heard of the website Your Teachable Moment?
I saw that pop up on one of your pages. I didn't click on it yet, but I saw that was cool. That's really cool.
3 Go-Go Kid teachers. One of them's a YouTuber on our group, Dawn. 3 Go-Go Kid teachers, they got together and they created a new platform that's just starting off. That's for adults teaching adults. Mm-hmm. So you can take, you know, take sign language, you can take yoga, you can take whatever. There's a bunch of different classes. So yeah.
How do you get paid? Are you a free agent like you are on Outschool, or are you set like VIP Kid?
It's exactly like Outschool in that they take 30%. You set your own prices. You decide maximum amount of people in your classes. You choose what you want to teach. It's like Outschool for adults, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm excited about it. I took a French class. I was so lost. It helped me understand how our students feel.
Oh gosh, I said it. My daughter took
I don't know what you're saying. I can repeat you, but I don't know what you're saying.
My daughter took a lingo bus class and she like had a meltdown. She's like, I can't. I'm like, I don't know either. So
you're like, good luck with that. Ni hao.
Totally. Like, did they say hello? Like I don't know. That's like, that does not sound like what I heard on Nickelodeon. It does not sound like Kylan. What's her name? Kylan. Does not sound like Kylan.
You can see how the parents feel with VIP Kid if they don't know any English. How they would feel like. I know some parents just set them down. It's like, good luck with that kid.
Yeah.
Learn some English. It'll help you in the future. Because I didn't. Yeah. Kelly Tag said, did you decide not to teach for VIP Kid? Who are you asking that to? Thanks for the great info, Sirena. Hope we all can meet up soon.
Marianne's a St. Louis girl.
Yes. Have you ever met Marianne in person?
Yeah. She did. So our local VIP group is awesome. And before COVID-19, we get together every month to do something. And I think the last time we met was actually an event that Marianne did at her church. And it was right before, was it in January?
I saw photos of that.
Yeah. I was there. Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's cool. Yeah, no, I'm still teaching for VIP Kid, but I am only teaching like 2 classes a morning for 3 days, 3 out of the 7. No, 3 out of the 7. And I'm still getting priority booking requests for some of my old regulars, but I'm like, I had to put a hard line. I am not working. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not working these days anymore.
Mm-hmm. Good for you. Yeah, that's like, I decided not to work evenings, but I had to set an alarm because tonight I have a class that I accepted because it was requested. And I was like, she's my regular. Okay, I'll accept it. But I have to like not forget that I have it because I've already gotten 3 teachers.
That needs to like sit on the couch at night because it's awesome. I could like watch movies with my kids at night now, and I can read at night and not having to worry about getting up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I can't believe you were getting up at 3 a.m.
Next, so having 4 o'clock classes. I mean, what time do you wake up for your VIP? I have to wake up at least an hour before because I gotta down a cup of coffee before my class starts.
I wake up at 5 o'clock for 6 o'clock classes.
So an hour earlier, because it takes about 50 minutes to get out of the bed.
Well, because I have to breastfeed my baby.
Oh yeah.
So I want to sleep lately for me because my baby. He doesn't want to go to sleep. It takes 2 hours to get him to go to sleep at night after I already have my other kids to sleep. He is fussy. He doesn't want to sleep at night. So working on that.
Hopefully it's just a regression and he'll get back in.
Yeah, I think he's just going through a growth spurt, maybe getting some teeth or something. But yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
This is makeup over the bags under my eyes.
You put makeup on for your VIP kid classes? Because I don't. What? Do you put makeup on for your VIP kid classes?
If I have a no-show, I put lipstick. It's like a progression.
I have lipstick on, and that's the one thing I do. But so like, if you ever see me in my classroom with no makeup, that's like that's true me. Like,
yeah,
I don't mean wash my face. I have a filter. I love the filter that I have on.
Awesome. The filter doesn't work on my computer, maybe because I have an external webcam that already kind of filters. I don't know.
Yeah, so the filter that VIP Kit has for their teachers is garbage. So yeah. I have Cam Twist and
okay, cool.
Sharpen the image and sharpen where I need sharpen and blur where I need it to be blurred.
Very good. Okay, my baby just woke up. So thank you so much for letting me interview you, and I will talk to you later. Okay, thanks so much. Check out Sincerely Sirena on YouTube.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.